Hello, welcome back to the Fundraising Beyond Borders podcast. Today we're doing something a little different, and it's just going to be me today. I really wanted to pull back the curtain and talk about one of the most critical and often overlooked elements of fundraising success, which is the power of a customized fundraising plan. So why is this so important? What is so special about a customized fundraising plan? Because no two nonprofits are the same. Your mission, your audience, your cultural context, especially for international nonprofits, and the challenges you face are all going to be unique. Especially for international nonprofits, the stakes are even higher. Think about your team. Every team is going to look and feel differently. So when you're working across borders, you're oftentimes navigating language barriers, currency fluctuations, different giving norms, and sometimes mistrust of foreign organizations. So a one-size-fits-all approach just really doesn't work. So to achieve your mission and engage your donors effectively, you really need a plan that's tailored to your specific organization's needs and goals. And that's where Fundraising Beyond Borders and a custom fundraising plan comes in, and why this is one of my favorite services that I offer to international nonprofit clients. So at Fundraising Beyond Borders, we don't just hand you a template or a generic strategy. We actually partner with you to craft a custom fundraising plan that reflects your values, resonates with your audience, your donors, and most importantly, it aligns with your vision for long-term impact and sustainability. So today, like I said, I thought I would pull back the curtain and share all what is in a custom fundraising plan. So to begin, we really look through a custom fundraising plan in 4 different phases. The first is assess, then we clarify, strategize, and finally implement. So I'm going to walk you through some of those stages I do with clients. And, the first thing that we go through is assess. Head to my website. I have a free resource download. It is called the Individual Giving Assessment. Like I said, it's free, and this is a perfect place to start. So this is one of the first places I start with clients. They sign up with a custom fundraising plan, and I send them this huge questionnaire, and they do a deep dive in their organization. What's working? What's not working? What are some of your challenges, your barriers, your strengths, your team strengths? We're going to talk a little bit about donors. What does your donor retention rate look like? What does your donor acquisition rate look like? What is your communications and your engagements to donors? What are any strategies that you already have in place? We even look a lot around messaging because, as a fundraiser, it can be hard to do our jobs if we're not really clear on our mission, our vision. What is our impact strategy? What are not our annual goals, but our long-term goals? That's also huge. So we go through this really big assessment phase that clients break through. And I'm just going to actually pull it up and share a little bit more to what we walk through. So some of the fundraising goals for the next upcoming year, and goals, always think it doesn't necessarily have to be financial goals. Maybe it's something around your team. Maybe it's something around acquiring donors or retaining donors. Oftentimes nonprofits come to me in this huge frazzle. We need to find new donors, and we need to find them fast. Oftentimes we pause, we reflect on, okay, what do your current donors look like? What is your retention rate? Can we acquire or retain some of those donors, those lapsed donors? And so we look at all of that. There's also simple things that we look into, like what is your nonprofit's brand? What is your elevator speech? This sounds a little funny, but do you even have a photo library and a story collection library? Because as an international nonprofit, you might have international staff, right? So you might have, if you're in America, you might have staff in Africa. So how are you going to join different locations together to make sure, if your programs are in Africa, that you have photos accessible, stories very easily accessible for your American staff. So we break it down into donor information, donor communication, marketing, online individual giving, direct asks, grant writing, events, and even anything else that you might want to provide for us. So it's a really big deep dive. So I encourage you, if you're listening, this is the perfect time, the start of a new year, 2025, to reflect, pause, take, 2 or 3 days with your staff to go through these different ideas, get their feedback. And if you are a small team and you're saying, okay, I don't have a staff, I don't have a team, it's just me fundraising, that's absolutely fine. Grab your board members, grab volunteers, any big supporters, and they would love to contribute to, this planning and the strategic side of your nonprofit. So we're still in the success phase. I meet with clients, they fill out this questionnaire, then we go through a 1 to 2 hour meeting session where I just do a little bit more of a deep dive. So I hear in their own words, what are some of those challenges? What are some of those great team strengths that you have? What has been working? And we take a lot of notes again. And then I do a really strategic deep dive and really pick out, and I find oftentimes common trends of areas, focus areas of things that are working and that could be improved on. So we go through all of that. So I go through that assessment phase, and then I go through what we call the clarify stage. And so this is so we had an overall kind of overarching view of what was happening within your nonprofit. Now we're going to start to get a little bit clearer on what is working and what isn't. And so we figure out who is your ideal donor. We do an ideal donor exercise. This is huge for international nonprofits because oftentimes international nonprofits have no idea who their ideal donors are, where they are, how to even find them. So that's one of the first things we do. The second thing is donor interviews. If you're listening to this, I highly, highly recommend going and implementing donor interviews into your 2025 review. Grab 3 very different types of donors. So it could be a once-off small donor. It could be a mid-sized donor or a major donor. It could be a monthly donor. Whoever that supporter might be, kind of have a varied approach to that. And go through a series of different questions, asking them, why are they involved in your nonprofit? How do they get involved? What motivates them? What's some of their favorite communications? The list goes on of how you can engage those donors. And, people often come to me a little nervous at first because, what are donors going to think about engaging with you as a consultant, and do they feel like this is a weird transaction? And no, not at all. They love sharing what motivates them, why they're involved in the organization. And oftentimes after that interview, they become even more, they're really interested again in your nonprofit, and they become motivated to be involved for the year ahead. So then we go through what is so important for an international nonprofit is your digital presence. If you are trying to find international donors or you have an international cause, it is so important to have an up-to-date website and social media. So I'm actually going to go through and review, what does your online donation page look like? Again, head to my website, and I have a free resource too of how I break down that donation page review. And that's going to be so crucial to make sure that your donors are set up for success to actually carry out their transaction. So what does that look and feel like? And then this is the most important part of the clarify stage. After all of this assessment, I'm going to hone in on what are 3, sometimes 4, but it's usually 3 main fundraising activities that are going to have your highest return on investment. So what does that mean? As you know, as a nonprofit leader or a fundraiser, it can oftentimes feel so overwhelming, all the different fundraising activities there can be. There can be events, Facebook fundraisers, major gifts, grants, small events, monthly giving, online giving. I mean, the list goes on, right? And how many times have you seen a nonprofit come and say, or you see a nonprofit online and they're doing really great on their Giving Tuesday campaign, or they're doing this really cool event, and you're like, maybe I should be doing that. And then you keep seeing yourself do that. No, we need to clarify and hone in on what fundraising activities do you need to focus on where you're going to see the highest return on investment. You're going to actually see that needle move. And so it's really important to focus in. Or maybe sometimes you have, this is a big one when nonprofits come to me. My board members said, we need to get in touch with Oprah, or we need to get in touch with Ellen, or we need to go and do, this marathon. And what's so nice about a custom fundraising plan is you get to say, nope, we are focusing on these 3 main fundraising activities because we are going to be really good at these activities and actually see return. So this is also a really nice process to get your board engaged and kind of show them the why behind the different activities that you're carrying out throughout the year. So like I said, those 3 fundraising activities you're going to hone in on and get really clear on. From there is the 3rd phase, which is strategize. And this is where I create a custom fundraising plan, which is basically, I like to think of it as like a blueprint or a roadmap for the entire year of how you're going to carry out those 3 fundraising activities. So those 3 fundraising activities might be increase monthly donors by 30%. It might be launch 1 more online giving campaign. It might be apply for 12 more grants. Whatever it might be, it's going to be, again, very custom to your organization, very specific to your organization. But we're going to write down those activities. But most importantly, and this is the best part, is there's going to be a whole blueprint to exactly how you're going to achieve those goals. And it's going to show you exactly how to do that for the entire 12 months. So again, it's perfect for executive directors, for fundraisers, for board members to know exactly what you're supposed to be doing every month. Is it going to change? Yes, absolutely, it might change. And that's okay. But keeping up, there's a column, in the fundraising plan of why that strategy might be shifting a little bit, or maybe you're delayed. Oftentimes I'm working with clients and they might be delayed a couple weeks or a month because they needed to go back and actually put a bigger system in place that was missing. We do that a lot with clients where we go in and implement Trello or Asana or a project management tool because, everything was just everywhere. So it's like, let's pause, go back, create a system so you could be more effective in the future. So this blueprint roadmap is going to also come with what I produce is a fundraising calendar. So the calendar is going to be a 12-month calendar where you're going to have a section for fundraising, for donor engagement, and for marketing. And that way, again, you can kind of see what are your objectives for that month. Everybody can be on the same page. Your whole team can be on the same page to really fully understand what's going on for the entire year. So if you're thinking to yourself, okay, this sounds a little overwhelming. Where do I start, Morgan? Like I said, go download that free resource I have, the individual giving assessment, and assess your fundraising. Put aside 2, 3, maybe even a week, 2 or 3 days or a week aside to review what you are doing, what you have done with your fundraising. Take that time. Then figure out who is your ideal donor. What activities align with your mission, with your vision? Are you doing, 15 to 20 different fundraising activities within the year? If so, we got to narrow it down just to a couple and figure out what are those 3 to 4 activities where you really think that lie well with your team's strengths, that you feel that donors will appreciate, that aligns with your impact, that aligns with your community, and stick to it. That's going to be the hardest part. And that's what comes in with the 4th phase of implementation. So there's kind of 2 sides to implementation with Fundraising Beyond Borders. We have the implementation side where we do fractional fundraising. So we go in and as fundraisers, as Fundraising Beyond Borders teams, fundraisers go in and actually do the fundraising for you, which is really great. So maybe you're a really small team or you want to hire a staff member, but you don't necessarily have the budget yet to do the fundraising. Fractional fundraising is that perfect opportunity to come in and have experts go in and do the fundraising for you. So that's one option of the implementation. The second option is coaching. So this is what a lot of my clients do. And they say, okay, this is great, Morgan. I love this plan. It's going to really get us clear. We have a great strategy for the year. The board members feel really great, but can we have a little bit of support or hand-holding for the next couple months so we make sure we're implementing it correctly? But most importantly, it's the accountability. And that's where our fundraising coaching comes in. So we can do coaching. We usually start with 2 months, but we can do it for 6 months to a year, where we work with your team every week to make sure that you are achieving those different outputs for your 3 different phases of your 3 different fundraising activities. And so, like I said, the best part about the coaching is the accountability. So we're there to really make sure that you're actually doing it. It's not just a plan sitting on your Google Drive or your Outlook or wherever it might be. It's actually being implemented, because we can all agree that shiny object syndrome is absolutely a thing. And yes, there's some really cool things, but I promise when you hone in on activities where you're going to see the highest return on investment, it's going to be well worth your time. Let me know, how do you feel? I would love to hear back from you. How do you feel about this? Does it make you feel overwhelmed? Are you excited? I would really start small, and we're always here to help you. If you have any questions about the custom fundraising plan, please reach out. It's been really great to watch clients just feel excited about honing in on what they're supposed to be focusing on and getting on the same page, and board members getting involved, and everybody just coming together to achieve one big goal. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to make the world a little bit a better place. So cheering you on for a new year 2025. You've got this. Make sure you take that time to reflect and figure out what your plan is for the future. Wishing you the best of luck, and as always, cheering you on.